If you've just joined us, we've been looking at the farmers' herdsmen crisis and also the numerous reforms that the Minister of Interior is expected to initiate in this current administration and the budget year 2016. Our guest on this episode of Question Time is the Minister of Interior, General Abdurrahman Dambazo. Don't go away. Let's move over to the prison reforms, which you've lately highlighted some of your plans. What are you doing to improve the condition of the prison farms?
We have started looking at it. I'm sure you must have gotten this information from the various speeches I've been making, that we are focusing our attention on prison farms for some reasons. One of the reasons is to see how we can make the prisons feed itself. Thereby reduce the cost of feeding. The second reason is to give prisoners, convicts, some form of skills in farming, so that by the time they finish their term of imprisonment, discharge, at least they have some skills they can pursue outside the prisons. So those are the two major reasons. And we've taken audit of all free prison farms in the country. We are looking at the various options available to us in order to make the farms functional. We are looking at the peculiarity of each site of prison farm to see what best will suit, or what activity, farming activity or agricultural activity, will best suit each of these sites. For instance, you may find, a farm that will be most suitable for, breeding fish. You may find others that would be most suitable for crop growing, etc. So those are the things we are doing. But essentially, like I said, two major things: for prison to feed itself, and for us to give some skills to convicts, so that at the end of their prison term, they have some skills that they can use to pursue their livelihood.
Now, let's look at the cost implication which you mentioned in running the prison, 10 billion naira per annum. And also, to put things into the right perspective, it's on the dailies that a prisoner consumes 14,000 naira daily for each prisoner. Could you set things in the right perspective on that?
In a situation whereby we have to spend about 10 billion naira in a year to feed prisoners, is unacceptable, and we cannot sustain it. That's what I said. Given that we have about 65 to 70,000 prisoners, now calculate. If you have 65,000 prisoners, the feeding which was approved by President Jonathan, former President Jonathan, he raised the prison feeding from 200 to 450 naira. That 450 naira included 150 naira for gas. So the feeding for 300 naira. Total 450 per prisoner per day. If you multiply that amount, 450, by 65,000 prisoners, by 365 days, you get roughly about 10.6 billion. So it is the 450 naira which was raised. That was what we met. And we met when we came, there was crisis because even after the increase, there was no budget for it. So we met a situation whereby the prison service, requested for supplementary budget in order to continue feeding. And this is why we came about the idea that because we know that it's not sustainable, there is need for us to look into the possibility of reviving prison farms so that prisons can feed itself, thereby reducing the cost of feeding prisons.
Does this money you've mentioned, does it get to the prisoners?
It's not the money. What they do is to give out contracts. By the time we even came, that contract had been given. So we never met it here. It's not for us. They give out contracts to individuals who are to supply food to the prisons based on that. So it's not that they give money to each prisoner, no.
Now, in reforming the prisons, would you consider privatizing the Nigerian prisons?
Well, it's an option. How we go, about doing that is a different matter, but that is an option. And of course, if you have to do that, normally, the partner who will want to partner with the government will have to rely on something. Outside the country, for instance, in the United States, they rely on prison labor to do that. And it is from prison labor they produce certain goods which they dispose in order to recoup their money. But here, 70% of our prisoners are those awaiting trial. And by international law, you cannot engage somebody who has not been convicted in any kind of labor. So that is one challenge we have. Whether the 30%, and out of the 30% convicted, quite a number of them, probably about 10% or even less, but quite a number of them are those who are on death row. So we don't have the number of prisoners that we can provide for labor that will give that kind of labor. But there are other, it's something that you can sit down with those who are interested.
You may also join us in this conversation by sending us your comment on our various social media platforms showing on your screen. Coming up on Question Time, what is the Interior Minister doing about border security? Find out from Nigeria's Interior Minister, General Abdurrahman Dambazao, after the break.